sure everybody heard the term, or if you haven't, hear it now, that it's expensive to be poor.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
expensive to be poor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that expense is that abuse of this debt.
Yeah.
And you paying a higher interest
Get you
rate.
a piece of paper. On one side, list all of your assets and the values. On the other side, add up all your liabilities and debts, and then you just subtract. And whatever's left at the bottom, that's your projected net worth. Even if you talk to most wealthy people, they love debt because it's other people's money.
Right.
They don't, I don't think this has anything to do with that chapter, but they don't use their money to invest in things and grow their business. They live in debt. They love debt, but they have the means to pay it off.
Right.
Average people don't have that.
Exactly. And to piggyback off of that, I use debt. Like I said, I use that credit card on the first day of the month. On the third day of the month, I pay it off. So I'm leveraging that. And for two reasons, really. Because, well, sorry, the main primary reason is because I don't want my personal information, like my personal bank account information, just out there, in the World Wide Web.
Right.
I really don't want that. So I
Right.
use other people's money. I give them that credit card. So if anything happens, they tie up that credit card. That's the bank's money. My bank money is still sitting in my account
Right.
for me to use.
It's funny. It's funny because once again, I'm going to tap into my discussions with wealthy men and women, right? They're insulted. This is just my personal feeling. They're insulted if you mention debt. They almost laugh at it. Like it's like they're proud of the fact that they're not using their own money to buy stuff. Now, am I saying that they're wasting other people's money? I can't say that. They're wealthy. Obviously, they're doing something right with it. But when you mention stress and wealth, they look at you like, what are you stressing about? It's somebody else's money you're burning up. Who cares? It ain't yours, right? How much money you got in the bank right now? Well, as long as you got access to your capital and your cash or whatever, and you're not burning your money, who cares about their money? Right? Now, again, they're saying it flippantly, but I know where they're coming from because they're using that debt to invest and grow their businesses and their companies. But so they have a whole different take on debt, structured debt in particular, right? How to structure it to get the most out of it.
And that's the key right there. It's structured debt. It has a purpose. This was written for the person that's just trying to get started.
There you go. And the only reason why I mentioned that, because I don't want anybody to think they're going to watch that TV and they say, well, and I'll use Trump again, right? Not for the political purposes, but just in terms of how he's built his company. He's built it on debt. Well, if Trump can do that and burn all the money and not worry about soaking out, no, that is the 1%. They do things a little differently, right? The average person, debt hurts them. In fact, those 1% is using you as a debt tool to fund the things that they have going
because
on.
They take advantage of the fact that they know more than likely you're going to default on that. Right?
And that's the
So
risk they're
their
willing to take.
insurance is already paid that all. You're continuing to pay on that debt, or whatever, or your credit's messed up now.
Right.
When you do go to get something, you got to pay an excessively high interest rate, which I mentioned in there too.
Yeah.
And then you spread that out over 8 years now. They let you get a car loan up to 8 years. I was like, what? But me, I'm thinking about these things all the time. So I needed some work done in my attic over a year ago. I took out a loan for that because it was interest free, and that's the only reason why. Because I had
Say that again.
I took out a loan for that because it was interest free, and I was like, I had the money, I could have paid it off at any time I wanted to, right? But I was like, no, I'm not giving them my money. My money will sit where it's sitting and do what it needs to do for me. I will pay them back every month, interest free
for that term, right?
Right, for that term. When that term is up, my obligation to them is up.
Right.
Make sure of that.
Right. And,
So,
and that's important that you
mhm,
said that again, because
mhm,
again, it goes back to that definition of debt and how you
mhm,
view it and how you
right,
apply it and how you structure it, right?
mhm,
As an average person, debt free
mhm.
looks and sounds great, but just remember it's still an obligation,
The obligation.
right? You know, you was in real estate for a little
Mhm,
bit, right?
mhm,
And I'll never forget during that time in the market, they were doing interest only mortgages.
mhm.
Okay, so when we bought our second, the house we're in now,
Okay.
everybody was offering us interest only mortgages, was the balloon,
Yeah. Balloon and like
all of these crazy,
four
and
or
I'm
five
like,
years or
and
something.
I would ask them, why would we do that if the principal is just still sitting there waving at us?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh no, well, see, the interest is only 2%, so you gotta pay 2% for 5 years. I said, yeah, but guess what's going to happen at the end of 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get an adjustable rate mortgage on interest only, and
Mm-hmm.
then I got to pay back all that principal that's stacked up for
Mm-hmm.
5 years. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is that we didn't need to do that. For as
Right.
great as a product that may
Exactly.
sound, we were financially sound. We didn't need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who lost out? People who were like us, who were fine, who were okay, but they took those things out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people who went under the
Mm-hmm.
balloon mortgages, the
Yep.
arms with the interest only. And when that term came up for that liability or that obligation, they didn't have that big check to cut.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they did have it, the mortgage, it adjusted to an interest rate that was so high. So they
Right.
lost on the front end and the back
In
end.
the back end. Yeah.
And it's like, but your income was fine. Why would you do it? Well, they thought they were winning.
Mm-hmm.
They thought they were winning by getting that incredible deal,
Mm-hmm.
and they
And
lost it.
I don't think it's a regular person, and even the most
Yeah,
savvy investor at some time may become a little bit undisciplined during that
right,
time.
right,
So I feel like with my house, I wouldn't want to play those games. But
right,
that was some repair work that I could do on the house. But once again, I'm paying principal interest free. That is a
right,
difference.
right, right,
That is
right,
different.
right, right. And I say when you're looking at debt, look at 3 years out, right, with
Mhm,
respect to the interest, right. So you're taking out this much money at whatever the rate is.
mhm,
Don't worry about the payment amount. The payment amount's going to be comfortable.
mhm,
What's it look like in 3 years, though? Right, with that rate.
mhm,
Because right now it's comfortable, I'm good. But 3 years, five, what does it look like?
mhm. Right.
Particularly for the larger amounts of debt that you have and
Mhm,
accumulate. So if I buy a car and I've had my share of luxury vehicles and I've made sure I didn't do the 8 year financing, right? I did a 5 year one time and I paid it off within three because again, I looked at it. Wait a minute here. They give me this piece of paper saying this is my rate, this is my current payment, but this is what I'm going to be paying at the end of that 5 year period. Man, it
mhm.
was almost double the amount of the vehicle.
Right.
Well, the vehicle, while the rate is going up, the vehicle value is going down,
Mhm,
right? So when you do these debt things with
mhm,
debt and credit cards and stuff, try to look at the 3 to 5 year window
mhm.
of what it really looks like. Because what it looks like up here, that's not really what it
Right.
is. It's just something to make you
Right.
comfortable to take
Right.
out that thing.
Look at that paperwork. Look at that
It
paperwork.
tells you right there.
Again, especially like
Yeah,
on your mortgage, all that stuff. Look at that paperwork
right,
because you're gonna see actually how much you're actually paying for things,
right,
right? Whereas you probably could have saved that money. You like
right,
once again live below your means if if you can. I know sometimes there are extenuating circumstances, like some
right.
people just don't have enough, and I'm gonna say to that. You gonna have to get a side hustle or something
You
to
do what you got to do.
get you over or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Or
You do
even
what
if
you
your
got to
side
do.
hustle is just for your investing, all that goes to your investing. Then
Right.
it's a good, you got a plan. You're executing something. You're in the game
You're in the
instead of
game.
just taking away liability, 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 liability.
I think this all goes just when you're talking about debt in general. It
Mhm.
goes back to maybe chapter what 1 or 2.
One, I think.
Yeah, where we just talk about need versus want.
Hmm.
Christmas comes, everybody needs something, right? We all want everything, but we all need stuff, right? Your interest only, Best Buy, Christmas time, Black Friday, that's when it's out, right? And if you don't have the discipline to distinguish between what you want for someone for a Christmas gift and versus what they need for a Christmas gift, come January, February, you're gonna like, oh God, you're gonna have your oh shit moment. Wait a minute. Okay, I know interest only for what 60 days or whatever it is, but I bought a lot of stuff, not just for them, but for me, because you know how it is, interest only. I'll give me a little something too, right? Yeah, I ain't gonna be buying it for everybody. I'm gonna give me a little something, right? But again, if you can't distinguish between need versus want, you're gonna put yourself in a hole, and that debt's right at the top, looking at you like, hurry up, man, get up here, hurry up.
What they say, most marriages break up because of money.
And they do. And hey, look, you want to talk about some battles? Most of them been about money. My wife has a different philosophy when it comes to money than I do, right? I mean, that ain't what she do. She don't hold money. My son don't hold money. My daughter, she holds it and she tight, right? But as I tell her though, you got to have a balance because you can't have two of the same thing in a household. We can't have two big spenders. You have somebody saying, okay, hold on, need versus want. Do you really need that?
Right.
And again, if you have the income, I get it. But just because you have the income don't mean you still need to have it.
Right. Well, that goes into also something that we'll talk about later on, like a spending plan. So write it out. Even if you have it, write it out. Look at it. Look at everything. That's what I feel like. That's what people don't like to do. They don't like to look at things. They don't want to think about things.
It's truth. It's the truth. Like I mean, when I say truth, looking at something tells you in black and white what it is. How many people do you know what their net worth is? The formula is simple, right?
It is.
Assets, subtract your liabilities. That's what your net worth is.
Right.
How many people actually want to know what that is? It's depressing.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Man, I'm only worth that. God, whoa. I'm negative 50,000? The hell? Right? But sometimes you need that cold reality to say, okay, what am I doing? Okay, what is this? Because again, it's a very simple formula. For those listening, you want to know what your net worth is because you see it a lot on CNBC, and this person's worth this much, and this is worth that much. Get you a piece of paper. On one side, list all of your assets and the values. On the other side, add up all your liabilities and debts, and then you just subtract. And whatever's left at the bottom, that's your projected net worth. And that will let you know if you balling. And whatever your balling scale is, that's going to let you know what it is. And some people don't want to do that because that is, like you said, that's the bare bones truth. And if you want to do it in the privacy of your home, do it. But you may surprise yourself. You may be actually doing better than what you think.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Just all depends on what that number is.
Right. So I think for me, I'm glad you looked at that other side of debt too, because that's actually where I'm living now. Whereas before, like I said, this was like for the beginner. That was me in the beginning and looking at most people around me, how they look at debt. Like a credit card is extra money, or getting a loan is extra money. Those things are not extra money. You got to pay that back. You're obligated to pay those back.
Right.
Or they impact your credit score. Once again, causing you to have to pay out more. I'm sure everybody heard the term, or if you haven't, hear it now, that it's expensive to be poor.
Oh, yeah.
It's expensive to be poor.
Yeah.
So in that expense is that abuse of this debt.
Yeah.
And you paying a higher interest rate on stuff. Whereas if you take time, look at your credit report, see what's on there, and become, very familiar with it. Make it a habit. One of my friends asked me a couple of months ago. She said, "You look at your bank accounts every day?" I said, "Every day and multiple times a day."
I don't obsess like that, but I get
it. Like I like to know what's going on. I look at those investment accounts. I look at the bank accounts, business bank accounts, all of it, all the time.
Right,
I just
right,
need to know what's going on. I just
right,
I love that picture.
right, right.
So
Well, you
yeah.
know, I think that sometimes folks forget we live in a capitalist society, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just from a social standpoint, what that means is you're pretty much on your own, right? Survival of the fittest. Yes, the interest rates are high because
Mm-hmm.
businesses are in business to stay in business.
Yeah.
And if their business is financed, they have to generate revenue and money. If it's in the banking sector, well, they have to charge you for loaning their money. That's what interest is. The
Right.
credit card companies, Visa and Bank One and all these, they have credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a card with free money. When you spend the money, you're paying back what you spend plus the fee. What did I say? Legalized loan sharking, if you
Mm-hmm.
want to look at it that way, right? So their business is not just to lend you money, it's to charge you a fee
Mm-hmm.
for taking their money,
Mm-hmm.
right? And depending on what that fee is, they could break some kneecaps over that stuff. But they're not thinking about your disposition,
Right.
right? If people didn't learn in 2009 with the housing sector, right, that we live in a capitalist society and Wall Street and all these other folks, if you really thought they were looking out for you, you are a fool. So you have to look out for yourself. Now, I don't blame them, right? They're doing what they do. It doesn't surprise me. Yes, they should be respectful, but there's no morality in capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about debt, debt is a founding principle of capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
You can't build anything without debt. The country was built on debt, right? Hell, I think we owe the Indians money, or excuse me, Native Americans money, right? Right? We owed them something in exchange for something they gave us. Now,
Mm-hmm.
did we fully repay the debt? No.
More than likely, no.
Slaves never repaid the debt, right? There's that liability and obligation. You didn't fulfill it, didn't pay it back. So the country itself, the foundation of it is debt,
Mm-hmm.
i.e., capitalism. And when you see many people out here falling under, losing their homes, losing their jobs, uh, that's just what it is. It's a debt and it's not going to get paid, and no one's looking to save you or bail you out. Uncle Sam does not want to bail you out in bankruptcy. They will do everything they can to keep you from going into bankruptcy, restructure, negotiate, whatever. Bankruptcy is the last resort. So, to your point about stacking up debt, if it gets overwhelming, no one is coming to bail you out.
Mm-hmm.
No one. Now, if you have family members that want to pass the hat, that's a whole different thing. But there's not going to be an institution
Right.
for you to bail you out.
Mm-hmm.
One quick point, Biden and the student loan thing.
Oh.
That is a bailout by the government,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't think we'll ever see another one like that again.